Good afternoon. Today I will be presenting my MDM4U Unit 8 assignment on the relationship between study hours and exam scores. My name is Jason Winter, and let's get started. So, academic performance is influenced by many variables, and one of the most important is study habits. So, these habits affect how well students understand the material and perform on tests. And the key question I'm exploring today is, do longer study hours help? Well, my focus is on the relationship between the study time and the results. So, why these variables? Well, I choose to study these variables because we have this common belief that more study eventually leads to better grades. And many students, including us, increase our study time before exams. And I was curious, does study time truly help? My goal is to see if I can recommend some healthier study habits in this data by observing this data set. So what does the past research say? So the past research, they say that the consistent study improves results and focus. So regular reviewing can enhance your attention span, and your focus, but quality of study also matters, just like the quantity. And other factors such as motivation, sleep, and access to resources can also play an important role in affecting your performance. So overall, these researches suggest that more study is linked to better outcomes. So my research question for today is there a relationship between the number of study hours and exam scores? And here I choose hours studied as my independent variable and exam scores as my dependent variable. And my hypothesis is that more study will lead to higher exam scores. For the data and sampling, I got this data set from Kaggle dataset. It was about the student performance. And I would say this is a secondary data analysis or a secondary sampling because I got these data from a source that has already collected and surveyed all these data. So here my focus is on our study and exam scores. And from this, I choose multiple students' observations for my analysis. Now this shows the analysis for the hour study. Here we can see that the hour study has mean of 18.9, median of 19, mode of 17, standard deviation of 5.23036, variance of 28.3, and first quartile is 16.25, and third quartile is 22. And from these data, I drew the histogram. And from the histogram, we can see that most students study 15 to 21 hours, and with very few students studying lower or higher amounts. And from here, we can see that the distribution is slightly right skew. In this analysis, I would like to clarify something because in the mean and median, we can see that mean is actually less than the median. So generally, it will favor the left skew. However, we can see that the difference between the mean and median is only 0.1. And therefore, we cannot immediately decide whether the graphs and this analysis, this data set will result in a left skew. And therefore, we did this histogram and we get the right skew. And here we also look at the box plot. So the box plot confirms that the median is around 19 hours, and the whiskers show a slight right skew. Now for the exam score. Again, we get the mean of 67.2, median of 66.5, mode of 66, standard deviation of 3.340659, variance of 11.54483, and first quartile is 65, and the third quartile is 70. And from these data and from my raw data, we get the histogram, and the histogram scores 64 to 71 range mostly. And very few students score either very low marks or very high marks as well. And the distribution is almost symmetrical, but if we look at it carefully, we can see that there's a slightly right skew. And we can also check it from the mean and median, where mean is slightly greater than the median. And the box plot also shows that the median is around 67, and the interquartile range is about 65 to 70. And overall, these scores are fairly consistent. The whiskers are almost the same, but if we calculate the median and the quartile, we get a very slight right skew. Now, this is the two variable analysis. So the scatter plot of hours versus exams shows a positive relationship, although it's not very obvious. So this correlation coefficient R equal to 0.40177 means that a moderate positive correlation is present. And this shows that more studying can lead to higher scores, although the correlation is not very strong. To conclude, majority of the students in my dataset studied for 16 to 22 hours, and the scores were clustered around 65 to 70. And we can see a moderate positive correlation present in our scatter plot, supporting the hypothesis that more studying actually leads to greater results. However, we have to keep in mind that there are limitations, such as other factors like motivation, sleep, and stress. They were not included in the data set, so we have to think about the limitations. But in the end, what I want to imply is that study time matters, but that is not the sole reason why students score higher marks. And other factors can also play an important role in affecting your exam performance. This is it for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.